Gender-based violence, in my experience, is something that is quite bad. It is also an issue that you see manifesting within the maritime industry, especially on ships where females are isolated.
I joined my first vessel at the age of 19 on 1st August 1992. The first comment I got was, "What am I trying to prove? What are you doing here?"
My personal experiences, it's always hard for me because I will always be the only female engineer amongst men. So firstly, it goes with gender discrimination. So because I'm a female, I'm in the engine room, the chief engineer or the second engineer will find that I won't hold the spanner because I'm a female. Or if we have to do some work, then they will say, "No, you can't do that, you're a female," or you should be at home, you should be cooking in there. There was one vessel I was on, and I think the cook on board had health issues, so he had to sign off. And he signed off immediately, and I think we didn't have a cook for like a few days. And because I was the female on board, I was required to cook. So he said, "I won't be in the engine room because they need to eat and there's a female on board." So I had to cook and I was a cadet then, so instead of being in the engine room and learning, I had to cook meals for the crew. I had to make lunch, I had to make dinner for them, and unfortunately, my record book needed to be signed. So you're given an ultimatum, basically, that you do this, or if you do cook for us for this few days, I'll teach you 1, 2, and 3, and I'll sign the book.
Yes, takeaways. Teach, educate, reskill, upskill, multi-skill, sensitivity training, all that, the foundation has to be laid in order for us to transform this environment. It's good and well to design nice looking documents, policies, and put them in place and expect compliance. But if the people that are charged with the responsibility of implementing these policies are not trained themselves, we are just shooting in the dark. We are going to trap ourselves in this vicious circles where nothing gets done, nothing changes. My little girl will be exposed to the same problems that I faced when I joined the ship, my first ship back in 2005.
This seminar could not have come at the right time, as for once the maritime world, the ILO and IMO are joining hands to confront this pandemic that is ravaging the industry.
I would like to take this opportunity to express my sincere appreciation to the organizer of this seminar, especially the South African Maritime Safety Authority, SAMSA. As president of the World Maritime University, it gives me great pleasure to share a few remarks on the topic, Background to the MLC and Protection of Human Rights at the South African Gender-Based Violence Seminar, which is part of the UN system's 16 days activism for no violence against women and children campaign. The Maritime Labour Convention 2006 as amended, coming from a human rights perspective, human rights are indeed universal, and they apply at sea as they do on land.
It's very, very important issue, and gender-based violence has to be recognized within the understanding of the occupational safety and health. Then we don't really appreciate, we don't really connect to why we need to talk about this and why this is matters, and especially when you talk about women seafarers, they are the minority group of the people. Because if we just talking, these issues separately from the safety.
Sexual abuse happens everywhere. Ships operate on the high seas. So perhaps, like it is in some countries, we should create an international sex offenders register, so that wherever there's a seafarer that has been found guilty of this crime, it is recorded, just like what we do at Port State for watch list vessels.
Effective training of seafarers, very, very important. Of all seafarers, need to be trained. How? And then also in all ranks. And how we can live and work on board without harassment, sexual harassment, bullying, and how they can be part of the solution. How can I then step in before it becomes a big thing? How can I step in and make this situation better?
South African government, as an active member state of the IMO, is committed to promoting gender equality within the maritime industry through the UN 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, particularly goal number 5. South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa has signed 3 gender-based violence bills into legislation, meaning the country has stepped up its protection for women and children, and survivors have a better chance of receiving justice.
From an organizational perspective, the culture, the ethos that's created from the top is important. The fish rots from its head. So you need to ensure that the leadership empowers the people to have the right kind of messaging. People are people, and I think you need to change the culture through the organization. That takes some time. And I've always maintained that the situation that you have to educate people.
South Africa has had a long history, as long as 25 years, of developing women seafarers. And it is a program we started just as we started our transformation program. So right from the onset, we were of the view that transformation must, in fact, include female seafarers. And this is so because women carry an inordinate amount of responsibility, even socially. And so it helps our other social answers to have women developed. Now, we have watched with concern the growth of the gender-based violence and gender-related incidents, particularly at sea. South Africa experienced 1 or 2 very unfortunate incidents
that included female seafarers. And so this discussion then on GBV against and the prevention of GBV is very important to South Africa and SAMSA in particular. So when we hosted the talk on GBV, that was a stepping stone. We at that instance already realized that we need to be doing more. We are pleased that we received the input that we did, both by way of guidance. Maritime University participated. IMO kindly was there and have been the voice that we listened to. And it helped us then to firm up the initiatives that we should be doing, informed also by the lived experiences of those that spoke to us on the day. We created a platform where we continue to receive all the reports on the treatment of GBV instances. And so we have put together reporting criteria on the GBV instances. So as SAMSA, we report on any incident of GBV for the country. And we have set up within our compliance department an area where each one of those reported cases are investigated. And we do hope that it is going to help the campaign against gender-based violence, at least locally. Not only that, all visiting ships, through our port state control, we issue brochures. We try and get on board as many times we can, and we speak to those on board, particularly those vessels that have women on board. And we believe that there are three elements, three pillars that inform this work. It is the education, awareness, it is the support in case there are those incidents, and then we enforce. So we are now in a position to act across those pillars that are dictated by International Maritime Organization. Must say that we're beginning to get very good feedback, at least those that are visiting our South African ports from the ships. Once we have had our conversations with the crew on board, we find that it helps to demystify all of these gender-based issues. Now, we are able to do this because as a country, we're already socialized on issues of diversity. And the women element is just one other element of diversity that needs to be understood as it is. And we do believe that our contribution to the international campaign does certainly go a way towards achieving a gender-based violence-free shipping.